which is Floppy Nights. Now, Wicked, what did you think of Floppy Nights?
Well, first off, I thought it was like a beat 'em up, just from the name or like the artwork too. I didn't really look into it, but I think it's a cool concept and it's got cool art style, good music, but it's not a game for me because it's like a tactics, another grid-based strategy game, which is fine, but I think it's a little bit too hard and there's not a lot of options to like turn the difficulty down or mess with the settings and stuff. So maybe I'll go back to it if I have a lot more time, so I can strategize more, play levels the way they want you to, I guess. Because like with the side objectives on there, sometimes it's like you can't lose a unit, and that's kind of hard without knowing what you're doing. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay. But I don't know if I'll go back to it.
You don't think you'll go back to it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe if I have more time.
Floppy Nights, Rose City Games. They went ahead and made this game, and I, unlike you, I did not think this. I should say just like you. I thought this was a different kind of game. I didn't know it was the type of game it is. You thought it was a beat 'em up. I thought it was like a roguelite, like what's the name of that one? Slay the Spire. I thought it was
Or
like that, where
Dungeons?
where you
Yeah.
just have the dice or the cards, and
Hmm.
then go from there. But instead, it is a game like Wargroove that just left Game Pass. RIP. Um, it turns out it's like Wargroove meets, I don't even know, just Wargroove meets, yeah, it's like Wargroove Advance Wars with this card element, which makes your gameplay completely up to the luck of the draw. Like, I could play through a level and you could play through that same level, and it could be, exponentially harder for you than it was for me because I went ahead and played through and I got all the cards I needed, where you are not getting the cards you need. So it's oh geez, I don't know what that was. Um you get a it's all level based too. I didn't realize it was just like, okay, levels, let's bring up this level select screen. So
Yeah,
every level you beat, you're you've got a main objective and a bonus objective. You get that main objective or that bonus objective and you unlock um money or cards. And then the cards you can put in your deck, and you put those cards in your deck, and um then one of your you can have up to 30 cards in your deck at any time. And then after you make it to a certain point, you beat a boss, and then you unlock another deck. So you once you have that second deck unlocked, you're looking at different cards. Some cards are going to work well with the deck you have, and some cards are not going to work that well with the deck that you have. But then you also have like another section where it unlocks certain cards depending on what you do in the game. Like you might get a bonus objective, and instead of actually just getting that card, it like unlocks it in the shop. Or you destroy you let's say you finish a level, right? And then your next level, they have like basically that same map, just a different scenario, and that is under the challenge levels, which is, it's the same level pretty much that you just beat, but it's got a new stipulation, or you got to beat it in one round, or you can only use one character, or you have to do it in under 12 rounds. um like that. So you basically you go through and you start a level, and then one thing that I've noticed that they've been doing is you get your cards, and then you'll beat something, and then it'll have a requirement for one of the missions, but the requirement seems like something you can't even imagine. And then a few levels later you're like, oh, I could use this card now to go get that challenge from that other level. But then it's like just forcing me to replay it just to get the card that I want, and it just seems kind of annoying. Same thing with the levels. Like, I know it is also like Wargroove in the sense that you have your enemy, or your like leader, your team leader, and if they go down, they're done. So I've
Yeah.
found myself a lot of time just getting them. Then once you get enough cards to switch over and bring more characters, I usually hide the leader because I'm like, I don't need you anymore. You can. They also have these like little portals that every 3 turns a new enemy pops out, so the a never-ending supply of enemies unless you move one of your characters and put them on it. So then you sit there, and it's like the worst is when you know exactly what you need to do, but you're like, this is I know exactly what I need to do. It's almost like chess where you're moving the pieces, and you're like, I don't care where they move theirs because I know I can take these guys out with these moves. But you need to sit there for like 8 turns, because if you move that guy, then even more enemies are going to keep coming out, and then it's just going to make it artificially harder. I think it's
Yeah.
just something that I had high hopes for. I really like the look of the game. I really like what they're doing with that, but I don't necessarily enjoy the uh, the game itself as much as I thought I would. I will say at the same time, but by the time I got to where I am now, um, I got to another level. Like, it does feel satisfying when you beat one of those levels. But it's just but it's just a lot of it's time consuming, and you could be about 45 minutes into a level, and then, oh, I didn't get the cards I need, so this enemy died or this character died, but they didn't have to. If I had the right cards, it would have worked. It's just it's not my favorite part of the game is the card element, uh, as much as like, just give me the tools of what to do. I know the problem is if you would have done something else and you would have just given us the objectives, and then we would have just had those moves, then it would have just been too easy. So I could see where they're going with the cards, but um I it's kind of rough to be in this world of roguelites and roguelikes, um to spend 45 minutes losing, all because you didn't get the cards you need. But not only did you lose, but then the level just starts right back over from the beginning, and you just go from there, and it's nothing was gained. Like, you didn't get anything if other than frustrated. The only thing you got was frustrated because you're like, if you would have just given me the right cards, I could have done these moves differently, and then we would have been on our way. But I mean, that's fine if you want to add the card element. But then, to when you die, you don't get any money, like for at least making it through a certain point. maybe if they gave you money every time you kill an enemy, so then you can go and buy some a card for your deck to make it a little bit easier to beat that level that you're on right now. It would feel better about I would feel better about it. But instead we only get the coins if you finish the main and the bonus objective, and you don't know which one's giving you coins and which one's giving you a new card. You just don't know the difference with those. But
Yeah. Could you redo the challenge missions to get more coins, or is it one and done?
you can do the challenge missions, but you can only do them once. Once you've done a challenge, and once you've done the main objective and the bonus objective, if you go back and do them again, you don't get any reward for beating it again.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. You would think they would for at least the challenger one. You can get some money back, maybe like a little bit less each time you do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and there's one thing in the gameplay with the board and the cards. You have to swap between the controls of the board and the cards
Oh
each time you
yes.
play something. Yeah, and then another thing, annoying thing is when you want to play another character, you have to drag it all the way back to your spawn point, which I don't get why it just doesn't appear right there.
Yeah. So you have your main character, which is always the first card you get, right? And
Yeah,
then you've got like a set number, whether it's like five or however many points, and it's based on what you yeah, like you said, it's based on where your character is. So if my character is all the way on the right, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna use this new character, right? I click on that character and then have to drag it all the way back over, like you were just saying, and boom, put them there. I mean, it's not that. It's one of those things that it's just like, oh, that's a sort of a goofy thing that isn't so bad. But the one thing is bad. It's like I move my character. Let's say you got a move card and you move them, and then you're like, okay, now I want to use my attack card, and instead of switching back, it it doesn't switch back, and you're still moving the cursor around your character. So
yeah,
I'm already looking down at the card, the next card I want to play, but instead it's the cursor's moving around up on the player instead of on the card rack. And yeah, it's I guess the only other thing is if not all characters just do one attack. Some characters have like there's one character with like a bazooka or a bow and arrow, and their attack, instead of just being the four squares around them, th- their attack is different, right?
yeah. Because like that poison one, it's diagonal in
Yes.
there.
Yeah, so you got to attack them on the diagonal, and which is fine. I mean, it. I have no problem with the characters having different attacks, but I would like it if when I'm moving a character, show me where their attack pattern is. Otherwise, you got to do the math in your head and be like, okay, I got to move them 2 blocks over to the right, and then you'll get it. And then if you move them to the wrong spot, there's like no going back. It
Yeah, I
just
wish there was the undo button.
yeah, there's no
Or
undo
like
button, or
an
like even
option
if they
for
only
that.
give you a few of them each map, like oh, you can get 3 a map, you know, to like a mulligan or whatever. Even if they don't give you those, it would be nice if they did. But yeah, but it's definitely one of those games that the more I play it, the more I'm enjoying it. It's just a matter of um, it's just the I, it's funny
The
because
patience needed to play one of those games.
it seems like we're being quite negative about this game, but I
Yeah,
do enjoy it. But it's
yeah. I thought it was
just,
pretty good when I
it's,
was playing it, but
yeah, I think some of it is, it's like so close to being like great that it's like, oh, if you had just done a few little tweaks, it would be really good. I mean, some of the things are just quality of life improvements that we're talking about that could be changed in the options. They could be changed with updates. I mean, look at No Man's Sky just had a new update that came out, and it's got like sky whales and it's got all sorts of new stuff. They added a roguelite element to the game. Um and yeah, it's just a matter of time before start adding it to other games, you know? We're not add it to other games, but just a matter of time before these other games, you know, because this game just came out this week. Who knows what this game could look totally different a year from now if they wanted to. They could have daily runs, you know, they could have daily runs as a way of you getting more coins and more money to buy cards, and they could do all sorts of stuff. They could do a crossover with Wargroove for all we know. But yeah, that is Floppy Nights, my dude. Floppy Nights.